Ag Bioscience, the #1 ag tech podcast globally, is now available on video. Hear from leaders and innovators across food, animal health, plant science, ag tech, and agriculture. Mondays at 6 a.m. on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. While you're there, subscribe and leave us a review. It's the Ag Bioscience Podcast with Agronovis Indiana. Get more information at agronovisindiana.com.
The internet changed how we work. AI is changing what work gets done. A bank cut loan processing from days to hours. A student built an AI scheduler, improving on-time delivery from under 70% to over 90%. Most teams know AI matters, but aren't sure where to start. InAI is Indiana's statewide AI adoption effort, built with industry, academia, and community partners, helping you move from understanding to action. Visit inaiready.com.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the afternoon of Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. I'm Alex Brown. Fishers-based Arrive AI is looking to grow its presence at Hancock Regional Hospital by expanding autonomous delivery services on the Greenfield campus. CEO Dan O'Toole said the startup has seen early success with its system, in which robots deliver lab samples and other items into temperature-controlled mailboxes called Arrive Points, and now a third Arrive Point is being added in a separate building.
One of the things about robotic delivery and pickup is it's very unique to a robot that can go over the threshold, is kind of how we describe that. They could go in and outside of buildings. It's a whole different set of challenges, and we have the right technology to do that, so we think it's really huge.
He said the ultimate goal is to connect the campus's 30 buildings through the network. Officials at Holiday World and Splashin Safari are once again getting cryptic about a new attraction being built at the amusement park that is set to open in 2027. In a blog post on the park's website, co-owner Leah Cook Blumhart said while the project is relatively small, it is shaping up to be the largest single attraction investment in park history. Indiana's unemployment rate rose 0.1% to 3.3% in May. Despite the increase, the Indiana Department of Workforce Development said today that the state added 3,800 private sector jobs compared to the previous month. From the #1 source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Thanks for listening to this IBJ Media podcast. You're probably going to remember this ad. Do you know why? Podcast advertising works. 85% of listeners recalled hearing an ad during a podcast, and 70% of podcast listeners have acted after hearing an ad. So whether you're looking to be heard across the entire IBJ Media Podcast Network, sponsor one of our shows, or just start with a 30-second ad, IBJ Media can help. Contact advertise at ibj.com to learn more.
A state utility regulator announced he is seeking new employment opportunities following backlash over the agency's approval of a rate hike by AES Indiana and intervention from the governor.
Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission member David Valletta changed his LinkedIn status to open to work on Monday and posted information about his recent work history. It is unclear if Valletta has officially left the IURC as of Tuesday morning. His job title on LinkedIn remains unchanged, and he was still listed as a commissioner on the IURC's website. He was appointed by former Governor Eric Holcomb in 2022. Before that, he had served as an administrative law judge for the IURC since 2009, according to his LinkedIn. Valletta declined to comment when reached out by our partners at the IBJ. The post follows Indiana Governor Mike Braun's demotion of IURC Chairman Andy Zay after the agency approved the rate hike by AES Indiana. Braun appointed 3 new commissioners to the IURC in December. Of the 3 men he appointed, only Zay voted for the rate increase. Commissioner Bob Deeg voted no, and Commissioner Anthony Swinger abstained due to his past work with the Indiana Office of Utility Consumer Counselor. Braun announced Monday that he had appointed Swinger to serve as the new IURC chair. Last Wednesday, the IURC voted to allow AES to collect an additional $71 million from its Indianapolis area customers through base rate increases, which would mean a 9.5% return on equity for the utility's investors. But that settlement was much higher than what the state's Office of Utility Consumer Counselor had proposed, a rate reduction of $21 million relative to base rates and a return on equity of 8.5%. Braun called the rate increase unacceptable. Aubriana Herron, Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Indianapolis voters will decide whether to approve a tax increase this fall to support the city's district and charter schools following a Monday vote by the Indianapolis Public Education Corporation. The newly created board that oversees key aspects such as finances of local schools voted unanimously to place an operating referendum that is projected to generate around $90 million in annual revenue on the ballot. It will mean asking voters to cover around $221 more on their annual tax bills on a typical $150,000 home at a time of increasing living costs. Half the referendum revenue will go to IPS and the other half will go to around 60 charter schools that have signed up to participate in the referendum. Plans for a $7 billion data center project in Hammond are not likely to continue past this month, according to Mayor Tom McDermott. Speaking on his Left of Center podcast, McDermott said he thinks the proposal from Chicago-based Decennial Group is going to fall apart before a June 30 deadline after a year of delays and extensions.
We have a proposal hanging right now, hanging by a thread, and they're supposed to be done by June 30th, and I have no confidence it's going to be done at all. And then I'm going to prove to them what I've been telling them, that was the last extension. I'm going to prove it to them on July 1st, which stinks. It's the best location in the state of Indiana, and I got operators and potential lessees that are messing around.
The city approved a development agreement for the project a year ago, but negotiations over a power sourcing agreement between Decennial and utility provider Genco have led to several extensions. Hard Rock Casino Northern Indiana President Matt Schufert is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now on the IBJ Media app or your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.